Hey everybody, this is Rydo and we're back to Batman Arkham Asylum. I decided to reload the game because the graphics were looking a little bit muddy. We'll see if that actually improved anything. All the video settings are in the separate launcher for the PC version of this Arkham Asylum Game of the Year on Steam. I did want to point out here a couple of things. One, I tried to set the recording so that the mouse cursor wouldn't be caught. Doesn't seem like that's gonna work because of the weird way this seems to make a secondary cursor. So you have in the top left, not quite corner, a mouse cursor. But we have this moon in the general top left quadrant. It never looks that shade of blue. It never looks that good in the game. To the right, we have some reused exterior texture and assets of the mansion, which looks pretty good, although I think the layout here that's being depicted is inaccurate to the way it is in the game. But then you have Batman standing on a gargoyle, which is interesting in two ways, because Batman never stands on any gargoyles in the game, and there are never any gargoyles that you interact with outside of a building, or all of the gargoyles are inside the building. And here in the second screen, we have it slowly moving up his legs to show his bulbous package, and then his superhero-like chest plate, but not bothering to actually go up and show his face, which is kind of weird. I guess the designer of this screen had a thing for Batman's chest. We're at 78% done, which you would think would be a lot further there, and now we can see his head in profile with the moon, but then the building that we were standing on seems to now be in the lower left quadrant, so he would be standing on basically nothing the way it's designed. Like, he would have to be on some building out in Gotham City or on the lighthouse perhaps. We are 78% because we haven't done any of the challenges. We have 6 more riddles to collect and 1 more character bios, but we're going to start this game just having to struggle to exit the building. I had hoped that somehow exiting would have allowed me to get to the outside of this building, but no such luck. So we're going to have to go all the way back here to the elevator, climb up here, and then run out of this. And we'll try to do it as fast as possible. The graphics do look better by far, and there's no collectibles right now to get, so this really is just going to boil down to, can I find a way through? And I think this door's blocked, so yeah, I went the wrong direction. And there's no shortcut connecting these two building rooms, which honestly, if right about here a wall exploded during a fight and that opened a door, that would be great. If right about here the wall exploded, that would have been great. There could have been several points where just an enemy blowing up a wall in the same way that you have the ability to blow up walls would have been a nice little jump scare. Yeah, a bit of a frame drop there. Everything just looks so much better. You can only assume that's a memory leak, I guess. Like, I can only assume it. My understanding of what goes wrong with programming and textures being loaded in, I can only assume that there was some corrupted RAM, a memory leak of loading the wrong images, and just exiting and restarting. This is continuously still a problem with video games, that it's not a full product. It is the equivalent to going to a movie theater and then the film glitching out or the film burning. I guess nowadays that's probably a little less likely to happen. Oh, this looks so much nicer. But in the old days when films were on film, it was fairly common for there to be large scratches or other issues. Let's see, can I get to Arkham West this way easier? I think I probably can. And save myself a little bit of travel. Because this would be the entrance we took in to originally get into this area. Instead of... Oh. Never mind that. We'll just go through the front door. It's nice that there's some bits of leaves that seem to get thrown around. Alright, so what we're looking for otherwise. Let's look at this. In this island there's a couple of chatterboxes and we got everything in the medical facility, so it should just be the penitentiary to collect the rest. Yeah, this looks way better. Green, it's still very greenish in its hue though. Can't really deny that. See if we can find the moon. Even, it should be somewhere around there, but I don't even see it. Perhaps they're trying to imply that the story is taken an entire night and it is now soon to be dusk. Yeah, I guess the moon is probably on the other side of the mountain. Okay. And yeah, we can play more of this. There's not a lot left in this game. We're getting the rush to wrap up the game and move on. Now it might be particularly annoying if it turns out that we somehow miss the two chatterboxes that should be somewhere, but I can't see them. Like, those guys I don't think will even attack me originally. I think they're gonna let me through. But certainly some weirdness in the fact that this is a whole separate area that doesn't have anything to do with the final boss. And we've seen several points there where, yeah, we're gonna have to start going back into detective mode pretty soon here. Several points where the game clearly is just cut and pasted together, and it doesn't work amazingly well. We never got any backstory as to why this security system seems so good, and yet it just lets you through, and there's kind of no reason why it should let you through. We defeated Poison Ivy. It'd be interesting if we go back to her cell and find that she's actually there. Let's do that while I think about it. Let's see. Yeah. That is... We had this room that we weren't capable of doing the remote security hack on because it's just too far away. We needed the line rider to ride over all of that. Then, now that we're really quick, let's see if we can hack this in detective mode. Oh, you can't. It jumps you out because I even know that in detective mode you wouldn't really be able to look at the colors and then Also, many of the detective modes are color-coded.
It must have been Crane. Another one who doesn't deserve to live. Why do these people thrive on chaos? Joker, in particular, desired anarchy. And since his escape will no doubt wreak it upon my city.
Yep.
I feel
can't move the mouse cursor.
For my diary.
It was better for me to record the mouse cursor and move it around
my story will be
than
told.
not.
I am not afraid. If Arkham becomes my cell, then I will know I did my best. I will be remembered.
So it seems fairly obvious at this point that up until this one collectible, they were hiding the fact and the spirit of Arkham as being Amadeus Arkham. But he said, I am the spirit of Amadeus Arkham. The truth is, it's the current director Sharp that left all these recordings in these mystical weird things. Yep. She did not go back to her cell. And I think there might be an Easter egg or two that we found in this area. But I don't think there's anything more to be seen. Going back into the security control room where Director Sharp is. So even if we do get the last couple of recording things, which we will, and know that Director Sharp is basically crazy and abusing the people under his care, it's not like we could go confront him and talk to him and get one more cutscene. If anything, he still probably will be a big factor in Arkham City, and he'll very possibly be allowed to get away with what he's done, which it would, I suppose, be a slight question as to what he actually has done versus what he's plotted and thought about doing. Yeah, because I don't think he actually has acted on any of the things he said. He said he was going to lobotomize Harley Quinn. Obviously that has not happened. So he tried to kill Joker and failed, clearly. So this is by far one of the most complicated rooms in the entire game. You have to have the super grapple. You have to have the hack. Well, maybe you didn't need the hack on that one. Maybe you just needed to throw a... yeah, there's kind of no reason why you would come back to this area and solve this. Here we have Quincy Sharp, and we're looking for a solution to a riddle, which I'm not sure what the riddle is per se. Yeah, they kind of just put everything in this one room as an experiment. This was probably the test room, if I was to guess, where they wanted to make it so. Let's see.
I'm losing patience. You're cheating. You must be.
I just got everything. And so we just got the location of the Riddler. Or by getting all of his riddles, but not doing all of the riddle challenges. Still? Prometheus Arkham's Guard. Most wanted.
Guard's most wanted and most hated.
This area no longer has gas in it, so I can just wander down here and we can see what we have. A Door.
What are all those bangs? Has Joker got his hands on a mortar?
Those are the fireworks. So we've got this. It cannot be understated how terrible it is that you play this whole game in detective mode. It's really nice in 2020 that we don't have a lot of that. I don't know if in the past 3 or 4 years I've seen anybody have a detective mode that was anywhere close to this. There's some games where you scan things, sure, but nothing this bad.
I am the spirit of Amadeus Arkham. Even though Amadeus had long since passed, his spirit lived on, surviving, moving through the walls of his asylum. When it chose me, I felt proud. I was honored to continue his work, to cleanse this city. If you are strong-willed enough to follow my tales, you are strong-minded enough to deduce my identity. Come and find me, friend. Together, we will save Gotham.
So it almost seems like, yeah, I think that's Sir Patrick Stewart that voiced all these lines, and it seems like we may need to go back and find Director Sharp. Nothing to do with that. There's one more collectible in this area, and that's kind of it. Here we have Prometheus.
That one was impossible to solve. How did you do it?
So, the dark reflection of Batman, Prometheus was raised by criminals who were gunned down by policemen right in front of him, dedicating his life to destroying the law. Prometheus traveled the world and trained his ways of murder, clad in armor, and maximized his natural skills. He is a master assassin whose physical and mental abilities rivals Batman's own. I've never heard of him, and why doesn't he use a gun? He appeared in Prometheus #1, 1997. A clearly unimportant character. Alright. So we have something missing
Diddle,
here.
diddle, diddle, answer my riddle.
Alright, so we do need to go to Director Sharp, I guess, and just talk to him. There's kind of nothing else to do. They probably intentionally made this room the last room you would collect everything in, because it is close in proximity to where Director Sharp is. It would really suck if you got the last collectible, the last bit of the Spirit of Amadeus Arkham, and you were way in the mansion, very, very far away from this area, because most people wouldn't bother to go back and find the guy. Although, in all fairness, I don't 100% trust that they actually did the right thing and put a line of dialogue here. It might be that I just missed one of these stones somewhere, and the game is glitched. It's also very unclear whether the Spirit of Amadeus Arkham really had any effect, or these stones had any effect on anybody, and this isn't just some weird narrative way of telling the story to say the guy went crazy. Still have no clue who this guy is supposed to be. I think he probably is just a programmer or a fan. Somebody won a contest. I guess it is somewhat nice, though, that they didn't have it be a scenario where you're finding small beetles or items like that. You are finding relatively large collectibles. So, we'll see what happens here. This is where we left him. And we see Batman, 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 all in the center.
My name is Quincy Sharp, the spirit of Amadeus Arkham. You have done well to decipher my story, and I pray it has helped you on your path. I trust that through my writings you will do what is right. Please, I implore you, continue my work. This city deserves a savior. Continue my work.
And so there you have him talking to Batman directly and talking in his regular voice, where if I was to hit this,
I am the spirit of Amadeus Arkham.
it's totally a different
Through my
voice.
actions, I have saved this cursed city, where my own curse is to forever remain.
And I'm gonna have to
in the
just
shadows.
listen to that.
My story is carved into the very soul of Arkham, and will only be revealed to those dedicated enough to discover
It's funny that the previous voices sound crazier than the most recent voice, where the most recent voice should be the right one to say. I don't know if this means that we're going to get to the final point in the game and Quincy Sharp is going to be in danger again. I guess it doesn't really matter, because at this point we're either taking out the Joker just because we hate the Joker, or we're not, or we're taking him down because he has to be taken down. Him taking yet another hostage is hardly going to be an extra motivating factor as far as wanting to eliminate the Joker. Again, weird that there aren't more crazy people jumping out attacking me. It's been, I would say, close to 2 hours since I was last realistically attacked. I may have run into a single psycho here or there. So that also is going to make the final part of this where we start to fight the Joker. It's going to make that a little bit more difficult because I haven't been doing any of the button mashing combo stuff for quite a while, and in particular in my case I took a bit of a break, so it's more than you would even think. Trying to find out if there's some chatterboxes. We're looking for 2 chatterboxes. So these guys are here. The party is ready. The fireworks are going off. We won't walk through the door. Let's see.
Guest list only. If your name's not on the list, you
It says
ain't going
monster
in.
sale over there.
Let's see. A. No, that's not right. So it's a B. Bane. Ah, here it is. Batman. Hey, looks like you're the guest of honor. Give him a big welcome, guys.
Hey. Don't see any chatterboxes. So they've all got these party hats on with their 2 skins. Oh, it's blocked. Right. There we go. And yeah, looks like they're just gonna clap me through. These are just the shirtless 2 skins of characters, and that door wasn't there before. And here we go. And they actually didn't decide to attack me, which is weird. And then we're in this weird first-person perspective section that totally does not work with anything at all. And I can't throw a thing at all. So I may have just missed the last two that were necessary.
Are you excited, Bats? I mean, we've been building up to this point all night. Don't tell me you've not been looking forward to it.
So this is different than the last time we were here. We had a standing statue of
Everyone
Joker.
always said I should be in television. You don't want to miss this, really. It'll be a blast. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
So we get a game explosion we couldn't have avoided, and we're gonna have to wander around now in first person perspective. Let's see. It moved where I was too. I was way back over here. Yeah, I may literally have just missed the last two chatterboxes, or maybe we can reload once we've beaten the game and get those last two. Here's a stone we've been seeing the whole time, which finally gave me control of the cursor to move around.
Me? It was your plan, you goofy clown.
So yeah, just a full-on cartoon cutscene here. I imagine if you merged all the cutscenes, you'd probably get about 40 minutes worth of a direct-to-video cartoon, which wouldn't make a lot of sense with this whole Titan stuff. Apparently he used a Titan on some of the police people.
Feeding Scarecrow to Croc, slapping around Harley, my hobby by the way.
He didn't really slap her, he flipped her a couple times.
Venom plants.
It's over, Joker.
Over? Why, my dear delusional Dark Knight, it hasn't even begun.
So I don't see a great reason why they'd want you to fight against like I don't know why they would want you to fight specifically against the police Titans. Let's see, here we got a BY takedown, and do that, and let's see. I'm hitting fairly hard. It is possible, I guess, though, that you could get a major knockdown. And as soon as we start losing people, we're going to run into a situation of having to take on the two Titans alone. Yeah. Well, they're just going to throw some more guys at me, so that's fine. What we're really trying to do is take on the Titan enemies and not specifically focus too much on the regular guys. But it certainly is a lesson here of just trying to figure out the right thing to do. Like, one guy's almost completely dead. And we're at half health, which means we would have been at 0 health if we had updated any of the health. And you can even see here we're still running into that as a problem. Like, so I just got a bunch of bats right then, but did that really refill my health? No. Seriously. They keep attacking me, making it close to impossible to take this guy out completely. And then it just fades out. It didn't even care. What a terrible... Oh, how do you get him?
He looks all run down. Let's pep him up. No!
See, that's part of the problem here, is that it would have made a lot more sense. It would have made so much more sense if he had Commissioner Gordon as his potential hostage throughout the entirety of the game, instead of him escaping the island and then getting captured and being brought back to the island.
You wanna play hardball, bats? Do you? Your call. Tickle, tickle. No.
And this whole mannequin throne concept here makes no sense. Doesn't get explained.
I just wanted to bring down your grim facade and for once let you see the world as I see it, giggling in a corner and bleeding.
His lip flaps don't match what he's saying at all.
To live for.
Not well animated. And so now we just saw a cutscene. Let's jump to another cutscene. This clearly was a trailer that should have been shown way earlier. So, Joker knew that Batman was going to be able to defeat him, and that he was going to shoot himself and turn himself into this Titan monster that makes no sense and totally doesn't feel like the Joker. And that him shooting Joker with the Titan formula, the Joker shooting Batman with the Titan formula wouldn't work. I don't know how Joker would have known any of those things. It seems like he also had time to put Commissioner Gordon in a precarious position. The idea that the Joker is supposed to be the foil to Batman because he's trying to get the Batman to delve deeper into insanity kind of makes sense, but I still feel like the way Bruce Wayne turns into the Batman and acts as a vigilante when he is a super rich person who could be doing a lot more and working with the police department directly as a police officer.
In you come, boys. I've softened them up for you.
Alright, so I don't know. You can see through under the floor, there's a bunch of explosions, but yeah, this feels a lot like what I imagine the challenges are, where they are just gonna throw a bunch of enemies at you. He's hitting people and they're staying down.
People of Gotham, enjoy your evening.
That's what I'm supposed to be doing. I'm supposed to be using this super grapple to pull him down. Game not clear about that at all. So he's got his claws stuck in the ground, and that took out one chunk. And it seems like we're gonna have to do 3 chunks. It doesn't seem like you can throw a batarang at him, which is weird. So just wait until these guys decide to appear. As long as these aren't as long as I don't get a bunch of guns, I imagine you're fine. Like 2 of these guys have weapons, and fairly obviously the chatterboxes are not in this area. I guess maybe what I'm doing is knocking these enemies against the walls, and the walls are electrified.
How exciting! I'm done here. March on Gotham, flanked by an army of...
So just pull them down again.
What are you doing?
This is one of the most notorious bad endings to a video game in the past couple decades. Because it's just not in line with what the game has been up until this point. You're really not fighting the Joker. So this really is just a dodge thing, isn't it? Just dodge. That's all that matters. Just kind of wander away from him until he gets bored, and then dodge. They don't even have the Joker face on the ground in the right orientation. That's weird.
How was that round?
Yeah, and these guys are not really hurting me. And you can basically throw a thing at these guys to keep them busy enough that they won't ever actually get a gun, or at least enough of them won't get a gun.
I'll give you something for the morning news, Gotham.
Alright, so 2 of these are shooting at me, but it would be easier just to pull this guy down. And now he's getting electrocuted in a cutscene. And we're gonna end this whole thing using the explosive gel, which again doesn't make sense. Spoiler. He's gonna do an explosive gel on his gloves to punch him. He also just threw his explosive gel injector, which was almost certainly the detonator. So you have to kind of assume that he had like proximity enabled on it. But why wouldn't it go off when it was near Batman then? Yeah. And it didn't hurt Batman really at all, other than scorching up his
I'm fine, Barbara.
gauntlet a little bit.
PD finally has control of the asylum. Doctors are treating the injured, but it looks like it'll take some time. All super criminals
So we
are
want to
back
keep
in
an
custody.
eye on
Quite a mess in there.
what happens
And the
to
venom-enhanced inmates
Scarecrow.
are returning to normal. Though for some, the process can be quite painful.
Yep. They had to throw in that line.
I'll survive. See you tonight, Barbara. Shame about your car. Can I give you a ride?
Thanks, Jim, but I have one on the way.
Get some rest. You deserve it.
Stay safe, Jim.
So they get a tease of Two-Face here, but I don't think we actually see him in the next game. It's not like the story continues 5 minutes after this. Weird. Very differently weird. This was a game that put Rocksteady on the map for a while. But also a very weird game in that it was much better than all previous Batman games, with maybe the exception of Lego Batman. I still feel like I would prefer to play Lego Batman and have 3 to 6 more Lego Batmans. That is a weird silhouette in the way that was drawn. We're getting credits here showing 1 name per frame, which definitely implies there aren't too many people that worked on this game. But a lot of Metroidvania-esque elements here that I wouldn't originally assume Batman would do, and a lot of changes were done as far as the way characters looked. They were kind of written fine, although a lot of the characters are brand new also. That adding Dr. Young and Quincy Sharp as characters didn't really add anything. Some pretty bad writing in general. I'm a little surprised they even did mocap for any of the animations. The animations aren't as polished as I would like. It's retroactively so weird because this is so low budget by what you would expect. On the other hand, Arkham Asylum 4, the 4th game with that title, and the 3rd game made by Rocksteady, I think went so over budget. That was a major factor in why it ran so terribly, and the graphics were just so demanding that it couldn't run on a modern PC at all. So they in the short time of 3 sequels, 4 games, went from being a little too low budget in this case to being way over budget by the 4th game, and that's no good either. They never really found a happy middle, and they probably should. Warner Bros. Should reboot the Batman series. There are some teases that a Batman game of some sort will come out, and sure, the Telltale Batman games have a decent chance of still getting some more issues of that, but yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. Now what's weird also is this is a Square Enix published game. Square Enix almost certainly would not publish a Batman game today. Square Enix has downsized their focus quite a bit to just doing Final Fantasy VII and Final Fantasy 15, whatever the latest number is, or whatever the next game is. That they're pretty much only a Final Fantasy company, or maybe they would be willing to do a couple other Japanese-centric games. Which, you know, Batman in Japan was one of the spin-off stories, and since he is a ninja anyways, that works pretty well. They had a whole Batman Incorporated concept that DC did, where there was all kinds of different Batmen around the world, not all Bruce Wayne. The audio that's playing while we're watching these credits is pretty bad. The audio throughout the entire game has been uninteresting, which is not acceptable for a Batman game. Let's just be honest here. The fact that we did not get something that really sounded like the music scores you get in the movies is ridiculous, when they could have literally just taken the music scores from previous Batman movies and had a person just do some covers, do some twists. You could get really fancy on it. he has a decent amount of QA testers. The game ran, it just didn't play well. Interesting, when you load this game, it highlights that they used Speed Tree, which is almost a joke plug-in middle software to use when making Unreal games, because it just like automatically algorithmically places trees. There's basically no trees in this game, so why you would license that software and use it and have it on the front of your game, unless it's just free to use as long as you say you used it. I don't know why they would have done Speed Tree. Like, it is so. I wouldn't be surprised if Speed Tree, even back then, also did some of the other kinds of plans, and that might make more sense. But yeah, Speed Tree certainly not put to its paces. It would have been interesting, I suppose, if it turned out that there were several abandoned buildings on Arkham Island. Arkham Island was way bigger than it seemed, and then there was a large forested area between some of the sections. Batman stalking his prey through the tree limbs might be an interesting twist, because Batman has always been shown in the urban jungle of Gotham. Being put in a more natural setting, he might have to rethink the way he does things, or at least he would look different. But yeah, that's not what they did. Instead, they had an island with 5 buildings on it, and that's all they could really load. I can't say it's the QA people's fault that this game is bad. I assume the QA people said, hey, there's a problem with this game in which you're always playing in detective mode. There's a problem with how small the areas are and how linear the gameplay is. There's a problem kind of with how the story is inconsistent and incoherent. They probably mentioned all of those things and were thoroughly ignored. It's not unheard of for Square Enix to kind of micromanage, and back in the day, during this time in particular, micromanage and underfund games. So I wouldn't be surprised if Square Enix just refused to give them another 6 weeks and another $1 million, which would have helped them polish this game a lot more. Meanwhile, I imagine they did hype this game up like crazy. I'm fairly certain they did, with all of the pre-rendered animations, and all of those were, I'm sure, recorded by a completely different team from the people making the game. So it would have been fairly believable if we saw the exact same cutscenes and ended up playing almost a completely different game in the parts where we actually control Batman. We never get the Bat logo. That's something we'd like to see right here at the end. I'd like to see the camera pan up and show the Batman logo on the moon, or the Bat sign in the clouds. Yeah, there's kind of no reason not to have that iconic imagery. It would have also been nice if at the beginning of this game, when he was driving the Joker to Arkham Asylum, it would have been very nice if he had gone through Gotham and we'd seen some of Gotham's buildings. Let's see. Trying to see if I see Patrick Stewart listed as one of the voice actors. The vast majority of the voice actors were, well, we're looking at the Italian cast list now. Is there any way to speed this up? We could skip it. But yeah, most of the original actors in English were the Batman animated series. They probably blew some of their budget having those people come and do video game voice acting. And personally, I don't believe that having even actors who do voice acting for animated things coming in and doing video game acting is always the right move. It is still better than trying to bring in famous people who have never done any voice acting and have them be the voice actor in games. There's been a couple of characters that have tried to get into video game voice acting and they're just terrible at it. They're decent actors themselves, but sitting in a booth and listening for a beep and trying to match lip flap and speak in a natural tone and speed is way different than just allowing the director to say action and then both saying your lines however you feel like it and then the director saying cut. So yeah, so we get this Batman Arkham Asylum logo here that we don't see, and then you have a copyright for the yellow Batman symbol that we never see in the game. There you see speed tree, scale form, monotype imaging, Bink video, all things used quite a bit. NVIDIA and physics used a little bit in this game. NVIDIA and physics is kind of groundbreaking technology that over the years has gotten better and better. So they're just going to tease the Titan formula and Bane's going to grab it out of the water. Congratulations, you've unlocked Armored Batsuit in Challenge Mode, which doesn't seem like that would be anything useful. And we are now standing on the outside of this, and that's where the game ends us. So somewhere around here there are two chatterboxes that I missed, and one would hope they're not way up there at the intensive treatment exit, but I don't know how I would find it otherwise. See, when I walk through this door, am I going to a different area? This is the abandoned tunnel area, and maybe there are supposed to be some chatterboxes in this area. Where could they be? We already have been over there. Is it possible that there are a couple in this area and I just missed them? Yes. Well, good thing I checked that out. So.
What? You did it? You must have cheated. There is no way you could have beaten me. Well, you asked for it, Batman. My final challenge for the whole of Gotham is just seconds away.
He had already gotten his location and sent the police after him.
The police? You cheated, Batman. You couldn't have outsmarted me. Police, open up! No. I said open the door, now! No! Down on the ground! Down on the ground! No! Tell me, how did you work out where I was? Do you hear me? I, Edward Nigma, well...
Yep. So, I guess that's somewhat of a satisfactory end to the collectibles. Somewhat, but not really. That's pretty bad, actually. I don't know who I'm joking there. That's a pathetic end. after doing all of that. It doesn't unlock any new line of dialogue. It doesn't unlock any character. It doesn't seem to unlock any collectible or item like that. Alright, so let's look at the character trophies. Maybe it unlocked a character trophy, but I doubt it. So we have the ugly, let me see if I can move the mouse cursor. Nope. We have the ugly Titan Joker that makes no sense to DC canon. The regular Joker, who looks fine. I can't really... oh yeah, you can kind of zoom in on his belt buckle and see it's like a skull on it. But there actually isn't a lot of detail here. He has this dead flower. He doesn't even do the gag where the flower shoots out acid at any point in the game. That's a pretty Joker-y thing. We have Armored Batman, who has even more of a package now. Let's see. Yeah, and I imagine Armored Batman doesn't actually have any more resistance to damage. We have the Scarecrow. It would only be a minuscule amount of work. It would be some work, but not a lot, to have these 3D model versions also show certain animations that have been pre-programmed for the characters. But I guess maybe that's just a little too complicated. Here we have a very ugly and generic Batwing. I'm not sure if this is actually supposed to even represent one of the Batwings from the movies or the comics. It just seems like it's a rough workup. Killer Croc here. Yeah, it feels like there should be a way to pose these characters and have them move around, or at least in the animations that they've already been programmed with, that they do in the rest of the game. We already looked at Scarface. Here we have a henchman Titan, which we saw these in different outfits. So some of the characters we don't get to see certain outfits on. That's all the trophies. The character bios are just that. Options wise, there's kind of nothing here. So let's look at the downloadable content that you have without hacking it for the PS3 downloadable content. Game of the Year edition, you get Batman and Batman Armored. There is no Joker skin here, and I wouldn't be surprised if there's one other skin that you get. Also, we have Totally Insane as get the highest score, and then Nocturnal Hunter, what goes up, Last Man Standing, Smash and Grab, and then Crime Alley, and then Scarecrow Nightmare, which is just an infinite fighting, and this is an infinite fighting too, so there would be really no end to that. And then the challenge modes are Intensive Treatment, Silent Night, Sewer Bat, Record Breaker, Shock and Awe, Survival Tactics, Rumble in the Jungle, Invisible Predator, Intensive Treatment Extreme, Silent Night Extreme, Sewer Bat Extreme, Record Breaker Extreme, Shock and Awe Extreme, Survival Tactics Extreme, Rumble in the Jungle Extreme, and Invisible Predator Extreme. So without doing any of those, you can only get 84% of the game. And there's two types of gameplay here. There is, let's just do Intensive Treatment, and then let's do the other one, which is a stealth motion.
We will all watch Batman die.
So the idea here is just to get the combo up and punch people and maybe throw a batarang if it turns out. So round one, I got a score of 320. And then it's just gonna fade out and reset.
One man dressed like a lunatic and armed with a team.
So and this is totally the finger blistering combo stuff that you don't really want to have to deal with. And even though I threw a batarang, that still didn't keep my combo up. So I'm not going to get a score that's high enough here. Unless this is 5 to 8 rounds.
Oh,
Let's see.
what do I get? Do your worst!
And the tricks you've probably learned in this game to be through with these sections, because that's really how it's going to play, is that you're just going to try and get through these sections. You're not going to be happy about these fight scenarios that, oh, try and stretch it out for a higher combo. I guess I'm playing these on easy also, but I don't think that's really going to affect my score or help me much. It would be nice if easy mode did make it more realistic that you could get these challenges done, because I think you're going to find that I totally don't have the capability of getting all of these challenges done, even on their regular modes, let alone on extreme modes. There's more variety in the skins of the people we're fighting right now than you see in the main story even. I don't know if there was actually some limitation where they couldn't load in different skins for characters just because they were running low on RAM, video RAM. That very well may have been the case.
I was just softening you up.
But yeah, this is nicer. Alright, so that was 4, and I got a high score of 3,690. To get rank 1, you needed a score of 6,000. And in this one, I think you're supposed to stealth. Take down all escaped henchmen as quickly as possible.
The medical building is ours. No one's taking it from us.
So, this guy is probably yeah, I guess I could try and take these guys out as fast as possible, but I think they're also going to take me out very quickly.
I'm reloading. Someone cover me.
You have to swing through at least a couple of these guys. Yeah, there's kind of no way you're gonna do this right. Seriously?
Taking one of you out, and not in a nice first date kind of way.
You heard the boss. Joker was right. I found someone. Cool. I'm dead. I'm as good as dead.
I accidentally.
He's here. Wake up. I'll get you this time.
Yeah.
I salute my fallen enemy.
So yeah, I didn't like these stealth missions. I didn't like these missions originally, and I don't like them now. And you'd have to do Silent Night, I think, either 3 separate missions there, or you have to do the same mission multiple times. And there's kind of nothing else here. Like, there really isn't even a leaderboards. Let's be honest here. Like, There's exit to desktop here. And then there is no leaderboard that I'm seeing. So the reason why it tossed me out of the game twice, because it couldn't connect to the internet, was literally just because of always online DRM. That's all I can get. Like, just because of the scrolling, not currently able to connect to a server at the bottom of the screen there. It's fairly obvious selling DLC in this game was a bad idea. It is not a consumer-friendly idea. Also, particularly when you're selling a Game of the Year version of a game and you're still excluding PlayStation 3 content, that's pretty bad. I'm not even going to waste my time unlocking that extra content, because even if it did unlock more challenge modes and a new skin, I'm not going to do the challenge modes. They suck. And they clearly, on top of the DLC, are another element that just shouldn't exist in the game. You could easily cut out the challenge modes, the DLC, the character bios, and the character trophies, and put all that time and energy into making the story slightly better, and I would be happier with that experience. And cut out the always online DRM for sure. Well, that's going to be it for this series. I imagine somewhere between 6 months to a year I'll get around to playing Arkham City. I wouldn't be surprised though if it was 2 or 3 years. It kind of also depends on if a new Arkham series is announced and a new Batman series is announced. Probably not an Arkham series. And how long it's estimated until that comes out. Because if they say we've got a new Batman game and it's coming out in Christmas, that would leave me just a few months to try and play the remaining 3 games of this quadrilogy. Or if they said it's coming out in 2024, that would give me plenty of time to try and finish the 3 remaining games in the quadrilogy. It's weird, certainly. I don't have a better words to say that. I remember playing this game. I remember being disappointed slightly with it when it first came out. I remember it was super hyped. And I feel exactly the same many years later the second time I played it. I remember it being overhyped. I think even now it's probably overhyped quite a bit. It does establish a foothold for Arkham City to go forward and improve quite a bit, but then improvements in Arkham City seem to be completely lost with Arkham Origin and Arkham Knight. At least a lot of that momentum is lost for the last 2 games in the series. But yeah, this game still feels slightly overhyped, underpolished. It could really do for a remake. It could really do to be played without trying to get any of the collectibles. I suppose you could have a slightly better experience if you just ran through the games, but even then you're not going to have a great experience. The combo system is not what I ever expected from a Batman game, and the beat 'em up idea doesn't make sense. It's the fighting game combo mechanic in a beat 'em up style game is the problem. If I could just literally mash buttons and always win, that would be great. But you kind of can't do that, even on easy. You have to actually know somewhat of what buttons you're pressing and how you're doing it. And often you have to press 2 buttons or a trigger and a button at the same time, which is certainly not accessible for people with problems with their hands, and not easy for most people. But I totally wasn't expecting any of that, and I think the Telltale Batman games, when I get around to playing them, might feel a lot more like a Batman story because it's telling you an actual story than this story is, where it's telling you a video game story about a Project Titan and about a Dr. Young who doesn't matter because she was killed, and a Quincy Sharp, leader of the Arkham Asylum, who doesn't matter because he doesn't do anything in the story. There's a lot of hanging plot holes, plot threads, that you're left with. But yeah, I feel like I could go on, but it would be pretty much the same things I've already said. I would say this is, by modern standards, like, this was rated by most critics I think I saw around the 90s, 9.1, 91 out of 100 score. I would give it, by modern standards, as a sliding scale as time goes forward. This probably is somewhere around a 6.8. It's not a 5, certainly. It's not a 0, but it is below an average 7.5, which is what most video game critics give an average game when they don't want to really think any harder about giving a number to it. This isn't something that, if it was on your shelf, I would reach for and tell people they have to play it, because it's so much easier just to tell them the basic story and have them skip into Arkham City. Well, that's going to be it for this series. As always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, comment, and watch every second of my videos, because that helps me with YouTube, allegedly. On my YouTube channel, there is a playlist tab, and on that playlist tab, there is a playlist for every game I've covered. Also in the description, I have links to a whole bunch of social media sites where you can follow me and get backup notifications when YouTube inevitably doesn't send you a notification. Also, there's a link to Patreon, and so that you can support me and cut YouTube out of the calculation. Or another way, if for a one-time donation, you can do that, is simply just friending me on Steam, which I'd love to be your friend on Steam regardless. But if you friend me, you can gift me a gift card or a game off my wish list. Having more games and not having to buy them myself is always helpful. Thank you for watching. Have a good evening.